We will rise, sure as sun in Oklahoma sky.
This is Carla Hinton reporting for the Oklahoman and NewsOK.com. I'm here in the studio with Dennis Jernigan, an Oklahoma native and gospel recording artist who is well known as a worship leader here and abroad. I recently saw him perform at the Oklahoma Strong Memorial and Prayer Service for Oklahoma tornado victims on May 26th at First Baptist Church of Moore. Now at the service, Mr. Jernigan unveiled his new song, We Will Rise, that he said he wrote with Oklahoma in mind. He is here to talk about the song as well as the inspiration for the tune. Thanks for coming in today.
My pleasure, Carla. Thanks for having me.
Great. Well, let's start with the basic question. What made you decide to write We Will Rise? What was going on? Did the lyrics take form as you watched news accounts? Or?
Well, you know, we heard the news about the tornadoes the day before. I guess it was in Shawnee, and then the Moore tornado, of course. And then because I'd had a relationship with Governor Fallon in the past, when they began talking about the memorial service, they asked if I would consider leading worship for a portion of it. Okay. And I said, okay. And when I go into that mode, I always begin asking the Lord, Lord, do you have anything special for the people of Moore? Do you have anything special for the people of Oklahoma? And sometimes he gives me something, sometimes he doesn't. And that was a Wednesday before the memorial, which was on Sunday. Right. And Thursday morning, Wednesday night, when I had gotten the call, would you be willing, I had to move some things around in my schedule to do, which I was glad to do. Okay. But I just heard those three words, we will rise, we will rise. So I went to sleep thinking about that. Okay. Woke up the next morning with the memorial in mind. What songs do you want me to do, Lord? How do you want me to minister to the people? And as I began to just meditate on the reality of what had just happened, I couldn't help but keep hearing those words over and over in my mind, we will rise, we will rise. Okay. So as I began to just put pen to paper and I sat down at the piano and the words began to flow. And it talked about the storms of life, and the fact that we as Oklahomans, we may be victims of a terrible, tragic tornado, but are we going to remain victims, or are we going to rise victorious? Well, I know Oklahoma. I've lived here my whole life. Mm-hmm. That's just our attitude. We don't stay victims long. We stay victorious, or we rise as victims or victors. And so the whole song came in about 20 minutes. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Wow. And then as I thought about the state, I wanted somehow to communicate to the entire people of Oklahoma, not just the people of Shawnee, not just the people of Moore, not just the people of whoever had been touched by the storms, but the entire state. So I began just in my region. I live in northeastern Oklahoma, the Cookson Hills. Well, from there we go down to the Kiamichi Mountains. Mm-hmm. From there we go over to the Wichita Mountains. From there up to the Panhandle, to the Black Mesa, then Boiling Springs, Alabaster Caverns, Northern Plains, down to Turner Falls. And then before I realized I'd covered the entire state. So that's one of my favorite parts of the song, actually, just drawing all the people together. Okay, yes, I love the song, I have to say that, okay?
I might as well tell people that. Now, as a native of Oklahoma, what do you remember about tornadoes growing up? Was it something that your family talked about, or was it something that people in your community had experienced at all?
Both.
Really?
Yeah, in the 1970s, I grew up in a little town called Boynton, Oklahoma, which is near Muskogee. Okay. And we lived on a farm of 90 acres. And we had 2 milk cows, and I had to milk them morning and night. Okay. Well, I think it was either 74 or 76, there was an outbreak of tornadoes in the Tulsa area. Okay. And we're close enough to Tulsa where we actually saw several tornadoes. And my dad said, Dennis, you need to go get up the milk cows. I said, Dad, I can see a tornado. He said, yeah, but it's not coming towards us. I said, it's close though. Right. So I had that experience, but even before that, and I even shared this at the memorial service. When I was about 12 years old, I was at home doing my chores one spring day, and I heard this big wind just come up all of a sudden. And I mean, it was so unusual, because to me, it had been a nice day, just a few clouds, a front coming through, but just small. Mm-hmm. Well, I look outside the back door just in time to see our barn lifting up into the air, turning upside down, and begin to spin around violently. Mm-hmm. And it crashed down back into the ground and just broke into a million pieces. All I could think of was, my little brother's in the pasture. So I ran out to the pasture to find my little brother. Mm-hmm. And he said, I said, are you okay? And he said, what do you mean okay? I said, the tornado. And he said, what tornado? I said, the one that just tore up the barn. And he said, how's Grandma? And I went, Grandma, she's in the trailer house right next to the barn. So we both run back to the farm. The trailer's intact. I run to the front door, Grandma's trailer. It's locked. I'm knocking on the door, and she can tell something's wrong. She comes to the door and she looks outside and sees the barn demolished. And here's what she said. What have you boys done?
Okay.
So that's a true story.
Not the tornado.
But she couldn't believe it at first that it tore. But the neighbors saw a little funnel cloud just dip down, come back up. And then another occasion just about, 7 or 8 years ago, maybe even longer now, a little rope tornado came and hit the OG&E plant in Muskogee. And I just happened to be in town that night, and me and another friend actually chased the storm.
Okay.
And then when my kids were in grade school and high school, one of the things I would do with them, because I had one son who was particularly afraid of storms, so I said, let's think about storms from God's point of view.
Okay.
He's mighty, he's powerful, he's awesome, but he's in control. Even when things look out of control in a storm, he's still somewhere in control. So we would get out in our vehicle and just follow the storm, watching the lightning. Always say at a safe distance.
Okay.
Always.
Okay.
Not one of those crazy guys that just dives headlong into the storm. But on several occasions we did that just to help them see that there's beauty in it if you just look at it from the right perspective.
Okay. Okay. Good. Well, gosh, you have tornadoes then.
I know tornadoes.
You have experience. Okay. What kind of response have you had to the song since you sang it during the May 26th memorial service in Moore?
Oh my goodness. I've been flooded with emails, especially on Facebook, because towards the time of the memorial we had posted that it was going to be broadcast on certain news broadcasts and things like that, and even streamed online, I believe. So people literally from all over the nation were texting me and emailing me. I heard from somebody in Pennsylvania, somebody in Florida, people just all over. So it's been really a neat response. I still get responses to this day, and it's been over a week now.
Good. Well, interesting. That's really interesting. Why do you think people were so touched by it, or why do you think there's been such a reaction? Well,
I think on several levels, especially the spiritual level, if we get right down to it, whether we believe in God or not, we're spiritual beings. We just are. And when you draw people together with a common focus, and say, for instance, the tornadoes in Moore, the large loss of life, my goodness, and over 1,000 homes gone, that could have happened to any of us. And it's just bringing an awareness to the people. And the song did that, I think. It just brought an awareness of, we all face storms. If not this one, then another one. We're going to have storms. What are we going to do when they come? How are we going to deal with them? We always pick ourselves up by the bootstraps. We just do. That's the nature of an Oklahoman. And so I think people just begin to identify with the song, especially when it hit the chorus, we will rise just as sure as sun in Oklahoma skies. We will rise. It's just a common heart cry. Like we remember from our studies in history, remember the Alamo became the battle cry. Well, I think this is like a battle cry in moments like this. We may be knocked down, but we're not gonna stay there. So I think it just drew everybody together. Okay, good. Now, will you be singing this song at other events and concerts in the near future, or when is your next event? My next event is actually in Siloam Springs, Arkansas. Okay. So I won't be singing it there, but I do enough concerts in Oklahoma that I will do it a lot, I'm sure. Okay, good. Well, thank you for coming. My pleasure. Thank you for coming. This has been interesting. This is Carla Hinton reporting for the Oklahoman and NewsOK.com. Read more about this story in the Oklahoman.
We will rise, yes, we will rise.